Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Donald Trump to be sworn in as 47th President of the United States promises a blitz of emergency decisions, including action against immigration on the eve of his inauguration. Israel releases 90 prisoners under Gaza truce deal. Joyous moment in Tel Aviv as freed hostages reunited with family. Next Gaza hostage prisoner swap to take place on Saturday. TikTok restored services in the US after President-elect Trump promises to revive apps access. TikTok thanks Trump for providing clarity and assurance. '54th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum to begin in Davos. India's Cabinet Minister Ashwini Vaishnav to present nation's vision for inclusive growth and digital transformation at the event. And in sports, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails Indian women and men's teams on lifting the inaugural Kho-Kho World Cup 2025. Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th US President in a star-studded event today that will be attended by a galaxy of foreign dignitaries, including India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. The inauguration event was supposed to take place in front of the Capitol, but was shifted indoors due to freezing weather conditions in the wake of an Arctic blast. Along with Trump, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will also take oath of the office, following which the former will deliver his inaugural address. Foreign leaders expected at the inauguration are Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Argentine President Javier Milei, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and others. Russian President Vladimir Putin was not invited, though Trump hinted at a separate meeting later. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are also among the notable absentees. Earlier on Sunday, Donald Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery, continuing a tradition for incoming leaders ahead of their inauguration. They were joined by their families, including millionaire Trump and Usha Vance, along with National Security Cabinet nominees such as Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Elise Stefanik and Dot Collins. US President-elect Donald Trump addressed supporters at a victory rally in Washington, D.C. ahead of his inauguration on Monday. The event marked his first major address in Washington since his speech on January 6, 2021, Capitol attack. In his address, Trump said that he will pardon many of more than 1,500 people convicted or charged in connection with the attack. Donald Trump repeated his campaign pledge to launch the largest deportation effort in the U.S. history, which would remove millions of immigrants. Trump said he would impose severe limits on immigration on his first day in office, vowing to swiftly fulfill the central promise of his presidential campaign. He also pledged to release classified documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 and his brother, Senator Robert Kennedy, and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., both in 1968.
The border security measures I will outline in my inaugural address tomorrow will be the most aggressive, sweeping effort to restore our borders. We will quickly reestablish control of our sovereign territory and borders. We will expel every single illegal alien, gang member, and migrant criminal operating on American soil and remove the savage gang Tren de Aragua from the United States. Every radical and foolish executive order of the Biden administration will be repealed within hours of when I take the oath of office. We are going to make public remaining records relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other topics of great public interest. It's all going to be released, Uncle Sam.
All right, up next, we tell you big promises as he is all set to become the president of the U.S. with his inauguration on January 20th. And these are the promises which he made. Plans largest deportation operation in the U.S. history. Trump vows to end birthright citizenship despite constitutional protections. He also promises end to devastating inflation crisis, tariffs and big cuts to the taxes. Trump also plans to elevate crypto as a policy priority. He also vows to propose 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada. Trump, however, threatens 10% tariffs on Chinese imports over fentanyl components. Some see this as negotiation tactics, but risks trade conflicts. Also, Trump has hinted at pardons for Capitol riot participants. And he claims credit for ceasefire brokered by Biden administration. He also pledges to end the Russia-Ukraine war, though specifics remain vague. Trump has also talked of cutting climate regulations and also pushing for expanded oil and gas drilling. He also plans to repeal Biden's green policies, including EV tax credits. Trump also has vowed to end transgender rights in schools and the military. And he has also promised to cut funding for schools teaching critical race theory. U.S. outgoing President Joe Biden, on the last day in his office as president, upheld diversity and ethnic equality as the soul of American democracy. He urged fellow Democrats not to lose hope and keep fighting for the principles his party have long cherished. In a symbolic gesture on the last day in his office, the U.S. President Biden took time to visit South Carolina's black church-going community on Sunday. He also took round of the African American Museum, underlining the blacks' importance as Americans. At the Royal Missionary Baptist Church in North Charleston, Biden was remembered fondly by political allies and received a standing ovation from church attendees. Joe Biden also visited South Carolina on his last full day as U.S. president, marking the national holiday honoring civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr.
Our nation is not based on religion, ethnicity, or geography, or some ethnic component. We're the only nation in the world, the only one, history of the world, built on an idea. The idea was we're all created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. Standing here, we know we've never fully lived up to that idea. We've never walked away from it either. That black history is American history. Black culture. Black culture is American culture.
Earlier in the day, while addressing the media there, he hailed the release of Israeli hostages in exchange of Palestinians as a result of Israel-Hamas truce deal. Biden claimed he put his highest efforts and weight behind the deal.
Today's ceasefire in Gaza and the release of hostages is a result of a principled and effective policy that we presided over for months. And we got here without a wider war in the Middle East than many predicted. And now it falls on the next administration to help implement this deal. I was pleased to have our team speak as one voice in the final days. It was both necessary and effective and unprecedented.
As part of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, 90 Palestinian prisoners and detainees were released on Monday. The release of the Palestinian prisoners was met with celebrations in Betunia, with fireworks lighting up the sky as two buses carrying the released prisoners arrived. The ceasefire, which came into effect on Sunday, brings an end to over 15 months of conflict between Israel and Hamas. The deal was brokered by Qatar, Egypt and the United States and includes provisions for the release of hostages and prisoners as well as a temporary truce. The three Israeli hostages, Romy Gonen, Doron Steinbrecher and Emily Demari, have finally reunited with their families after being released from captivity in Gaza on Sunday. It was an emotional and heartwarming reunion as the hostages were in tears and were tightly embraced by their smiling loved ones upon their arrival. Demari, who had lost 2 fingers when she was shot the day she was abducted, could be seen smiling and embracing her mother as she held up a bandaged hand. Elsewhere in Tel Aviv, hundreds of Israelis cheered outside the defense headquarters as they watched a live broadcast from Gaza showing hostages release on a giant screen, part of a ceasefire deal.
It's a beautiful day. After so long, we got a beautiful day. There is 3 hostages, young hostages, returning home.
I'm super excited. This is the first time we've seen her since that day, October 7th, and we didn't had any signal for life from her for a whole year now. And this is the first time we're seeing her, and we're seeing her walking on her 2 feet, and we're just waiting here to hug her and say how much we love her.
It was very stressful days, not knowing if she's going to be on the list or not, and now seeing her and see that she can walk, yeah, it's a really big relief.
Professor Itai Pesach, the director of Safra Children's Hospital, informed that all the 3 hostages were in stable condition and were reunited with their families. He, however, added that medical examinations would take a number of days.
I'm happy to report that they are in stable condition. That allows us and them to focus on what is the most important thing for now, is reuniting with their families. They are reunited with their families, and we will continue to monitor their clinical condition. This will take a few more days until we complete all the examinations that are needed and treat whatever we find within these within the workup that we will perform.
The World Health Organization has expressed its readiness to pour aid into Gaza during the Israel-Hamas truce, saying that it would need systematic access across the territory to do so. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus welcomed the ceasefire, adding that addressing the massive health needs and restoring the health system in Gaza will be a complex and challenging task, given the scale of destruction, operational complexity and cost rates involved. While the United Nations health body was ready to scale up the response to address the territory's critical needs, it said in a statement that it is critical that the security obstacles hindering operations are removed. Canada's former Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, launched her campaign on Sunday to replace Justin Trudeau as Liberal Party leader and Prime Minister. She pitched herself as the best option to oppose incoming US President Donald Trump. Freeland had been one of Trudeau's closest allies in the government since the Liberals swept into office in 2015. She also served 4 years as Finance Minister until her dramatic resignation last month. In a scathing resignation letter, she accused Trudeau of putting his own political interest above the urgent need to prepare Canada for the potential threats of the oncoming Trump administration, including a possible trade war. Freeland's departure was seen as a devastating blow that pushed Trudeau to announce his plans to leave office. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, quantum of punishment to be pronounced today in the Kolkata rape and murder case. All updates from Mahakumbh 2025, a historic convergence of faith and celestial alignment after 144 years. American world number 3 Coco Gauff and Tommy Paul advanced to the next rounds with splendid victories over their respective opponents. Stay with us for the latest from 2025 Australian Open.
Timeless, boundless and infinite. The essence of faith. The soul of Sanatan culture. from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get you more updates. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration ceremony of US President-elect Donald Trump, held meetings with his counterparts from Australia and Japan. In a social media post, Dr. S. Jaishankar expressed his happiness over his meeting with Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya. The two leaders reviewed progress in bilateral cooperation and also discussed developments related to the Quad. In another post, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that he enjoyed his discussion on the state of the world with Australian counterpart Penny Wong. Quad grouping comprises of Japan, Australia, India and the United States. Speaker of the lower house of Indian Parliament, Om Birla, will inaugurate the 85th All India Presiding Officers Conference in the East Indian city of Patna on Monday. The two-day conference, which will bring together key figures from legislative bodies across India, will focus on the theme 75th anniversary of the Constitution, contribution of Parliament and state legislative bodies in strengthening constitutional values. A Kolkata court will pronounce the quantum of punishment for Sanjay Roy, convicted of raping and murdering an on-duty doctor at the state-run RG Kar Medical College and Hospital in the eastern Indian city of Kolkata. The charges under which Roy has been convicted entail a minimum sentence of life imprisonment, while the maximum can be capital punishment. Roy was guilty of rape and murder of the postgraduate trainee at the hospital on August 9th last year. And now we get you all the news from Mahakumbh, the largest religious congregation in the world. The Mahakumbh festival is setting a new example with each of its editions, and in 2025, the Mahakumbh coincides with a rare planetary alignment which happens once in 144 years that brings crores of people to unite at the Kumbh district to make the execution a grand success. The UP government has executed some mega projects like setting up a modern tent city and installing 30 pontoon bridges. Deepika Mehta has more on this.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Kumbh, the 76th district of Uttar Pradesh, is currently hosting the largest and the oldest congregation of devotees who are visiting in large numbers to participate in the Mahakumbh festival. The festival is even more special this time as it coincides with the rare alignment of planets that happens once in 144 years. The UP government is leaving no stone unturned to make it a world-class event. Interestingly, 30 pontoon bridges, which are often called military bridges, have been set up across the district to facilitate smooth passage. The 30 pontoon bridges, constructed over a period of 15 months for the Mahakumbh, can support up to 5 tons of weight. Devotees from across the country hail the initiative and infrastructure.
ये पीपा पुल बनने से बहुत फायदा है, अपना समय बचता है और इधर के आदमी उधर भी जा सकते हैं, उधर के आदमी इधर भी आ सकते हैं। इतना बढ़िया सुविधा दिया है सरकार, बढ़िया है, सब सुविधा सही है।
ये जो पोंटून ब्रिज बना है, इसके बनने से हमें बहुत सुविधाएं मिली हैं। इससे हम बुजुर्गों को भी बहुत फायदा हो रहा है, आने जाने के लिए उनका समय बचता है। वे एक स्थान से दूसरे स्थान पे बहुत आसानी तरीके से जा रहे हैं। इससे महिलाओं को भी बहुत सारी सहायता मिली है। जो कि उन्हें बहुत अधिक समय लगता था जाने में, अब वे आसानी से जा सकते हैं।
The UP government has also set up a tent city that offers accommodations in 4 categories: Villa, Maharaja, Swiss cottage and dormitory. With an estimated 45 crore pilgrims expected to visit, these tents will be operational till March 5th. And with this, the UP government has also uplifted the face of Kumbh as the official district, setting a new benchmark for world's largest congregation of faith.
From the installation of 30 pontoon bridge to the establishment of this unique tent city that you can see right behind me, the 76th official district of Kumbh here in Prayagraj is hosting the largest and the oldest congregation of devotees to host the grand Mahakumbh festival. With camera person Shiv Suman, this is Deepika reporting from the Kumbh district here in Prayagraj.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. Today is the last day for the withdrawal of nomination for Delhi State Assembly polls. 719 candidates remain in the running for the Assembly polls after 1,522 nomination sets, including multiple ones, were presented with the Election Commission for examination. The final list of candidates in each of the 70 constituencies will be published on Monday. Assembly polls in Delhi will be held on 5th of February. In a major breakthrough in actor Saif Ali Khan's stabbing case, a Mumbai holiday court has sent the accused to 5 days in police custody on Sunday. The accused, identified as Mohammad Shariful Islam Shehzad, has been suspected to be a Bangladeshi resident who entered India illegally and has been living in Mumbai for the past few months. In a major push for infrastructural development in Jammu and Kashmir, the trial of the first 18-coach AC train from Katra in Jammu to Budgam in Kashmir was conducted successfully on Sunday. This marks the successful completion of the ambitious Udhampur-Srinagar-Baramulla rail link project. The project covers a stretch of 326 kilometers and includes the longest railway tunnel in the country. On to business updates now. Talking of the business updates, and the 54th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum will begin on Monday in Davos, Switzerland. Topics on the Davos agenda span mounting global geopolitical and economic uncertainty, trade tensions, climate goals and artificial intelligence. During the 5-day-long meeting, around 3,000 delegates from over 130 countries will discuss innovative strategies to revitalize growth, harness transformative technologies, empower individuals and communities, and protect the planet and drive collaboration. Attendees will also include European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Donald Trump, who will be sworn in on Monday, will address the meeting virtually on January 23rd. India's Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting and IT, Ashwini Vaishnav, will be participating in the World Economic Forum 2025 at Davos. Vaishnav will present the nation's visit for inclusive growth and digital transformation at the event. Before his departure to Davos, Minister Vaishnav stated that there is significant interest at the World Economic Forum in understanding India's thought process, the Prime Minister's economic policies and the country's digital transformation initiatives.
All of you are aware, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has put huge focus on inclusive development and a growth which brings a big transformative change in the lives of the people at the bottom of the pyramid, people who have been left out of development over many decades in the past, whether it is bank accounts, whether it is providing toilets, gas connections, whether it is having tap water connections, getting the basic infrastructure in the villages done, infrastructure in the urban areas done. This is all highly, this is something which the world wants to understand, and in the World Economic Forum at Davos, there is a lot of interest in understanding our thought process, Prime Minister's economic policy about the digital transformation.
TikTok began restoring its services in the US after President-elect Donald Trump said that he would revive the app's access in the US when he returns to power on Monday. TikTok also issued an earlier statement after US users reported being able to access the Chinese-owned services website, while the far more widely used TikTok app itself began coming back online for some users with just a few basic services. TikTok stopped working for the US users late on Saturday before a law shutting it down on national security grounds took effect on Sunday. US officials had warned that under the Chinese parent company ByteDance, there was a risk of Americans' data being misused. Trump said the executive order would specify there would be no liability for any company that helped keep TikTok from going dark before this order.
But starting tomorrow, I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country. We have to do it. And as of today, TikTok is back. So they'll have a partner, the United States, and they'll have a lot of bidders, and the United States will do what we call a joint venture. And there's no risk. We're not putting up any money. All we're doing is giving them the approval, without which they don't have anything. So I don't know. It sounds like that works. What do you think? Good?
And from here, we now talk of sports updates. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his wishes as the Indian men's and women's Kho-Kho teams scripted history on Sunday to be crowned as inaugural World Cup 2025 champions. The Indian men's team replicated their female counterparts' achievement, edging out Nepal 54-36 in a thrilling finale to lift the title. Indian men's team completely lived up to the expectations of a buoyant crowd. Captain Prateek Walker, who hails from Pune in Maharashtra, was one of the star performers for the men's team. Earlier in the day, the Indian women's team eased past Nepal 78-40 in the final. The dominant display from the home side was consistent with its superiority right through the tournament. Indian Prime Minister posted on social media platform X to extend his wishes for both the teams. He said, and I quote him, "Incredibly proud of Indian men's Kho-Kho team for winning the Kho-Kho World Cup title. Their grit and dedication is commendable." Prime Minister also hailed the women's team, saying, I quote him, "This triumph has brought more spotlight to one of India's oldest traditional sports, inspiring the countless young athletes across the nation." In tennis, American world number 3 Coco Gauff defeated Switzerland's Belinda Bencic to reach the quarterfinals of Australian Open in Melbourne on Sunday. Gauff lost her first set of the year to open her contest against Bencic. The 27-year-old Swiss was put on the back foot when Gauff came out firing. She forced the decider by winning the second set. Gauff will face Spain's Paula Badosa, who reached the last 8 for the first time by beating Olga Danilovic. Badosa had to rally from a 5-2 score down to get past the Serbian in straight sets and reach her second straight Grand Slam quarterfinal. Meanwhile, in men's singles, Tommy Paul was the first man to book his spot in the last 8 with a 6-1, 6-1, 6-1 win over Spain's Alejandro Fokina, who looked exhausted after back-to-back 5-setters in the last 2 rounds. While Alexander Zverev booked an Australian Open quarterfinal clash against Tommy Paul after surviving a mid-match wobble to oust France's Hugo Humbert. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.